As an ediscovery user, I see clients' documents all the time. And today I was thinking, what is it that I wish that clients or the end users would stop doing with their documents? Because there are certain things that they do that cause problems during e-discovery process. Now, what I always say here isn't going to change anything at all, so we're just kind of having a fantasy discussion. What would we wish users would stop doing to make our job easier? First thing I would ask, stop pasting Excel into emails. It is so annoying and it causes tons of problems, and I don't even think it's a really great idea. It's probably better to attach the actual Excel to an email message when you send in something over. Now, if you do have like 5x5, like a small area, you say, oh, here, check out this table, that's cool, paste that in. But what people do is they highlight like tons of columns across, and then they paste that whole thing into like an email. And then when you try to image it for production, everything's cut off. There are problems with the table. And yes, Relativity has like some of the features to split tables, but sometimes they don't work because they're compound columns, causes all kinds of issues. So if I were to ask anything, end users, would you please stop pasting large tables into your emails? And the next thing I would ask users is not to email documents to your attorney that you want to be included in a production. There are better ways of getting data to them. Because what's happening is, and I've seen this with very small law firms and like smaller cases, but the clients would forward an email to their attorney, and the attorney would forward the email to e-discovery vendor, and they wouldn't just like attach the email, they would actually do forward with extra headers. And then they say, hey, can you add this document to a production? And then you look and it's like, what's going on here? Like there's just 2 extra headers. So you process it normally, and then they go like, well, no, we don't actually want the first email. We only want the email within that email. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? That's how you send it to me. And they're like, well, can you just just to redact the header? It's going to be fine. And you're like, what about like metadata and anything? It's like, don't worry about it. Just redact the header, and it's going to be fine. You guys understand that treating documents like that is a really bad idea. From traceability perspective, and you have all the extra information, you don't have any metadata. So the very least, you should take the email, detach it, save it as an MSG file, and then send it as an attachment so it could be cleanly extracted and added to a production, not forward it as an email. Next, treating your IT as forensics department. Your IT doesn't understand anything about litigation. They're specifically technology people, and a lot of times companies use them to collect data for litigation, which isn't far off to think that they can do that, because usually what they have to do is perform some kind of export or copy some data. And a lot of times it's actually fine. If you have some data on a network and you need to just copy it to a hard drive or something like that, yeah, they can do it. Simple exports from Exchange server, sure, they could work. But once you start getting into more complicated things, like, all right, we got to do export from Office 365, we have Teams data, we have emails, there's certain things you want to do with your data that would make it easier for process down the line. And IT department has no idea what they're doing. They're just going to export everything out. They may export data into giant CSV files. They do, exports into PST that contains Teams messages and regular emails, and Teams messages and missing attachments. Again, that's because they just don't know any better. They don't know that you need to use an HTML format to make sure you copy all the attachments that were added to group chats and things like that. And then what happens, vendors get their data and there's some kind of problem in the data, or something isn't exported the best way, and the client goes like, well, that's kind of how we got it. That's how the IT department exported. So can you just figure out a way to deal with it? Make the most of it, because we don't want to go back and ask for it because it's way too much data, it's going to take too long, it's already been done, just go with it. So there are tasks that should be left to a forensic department, such as collecting data, exporting, who are experts at it, and those things should not be done by internal IT department. The last thing I want to mention is using third-party email archiving services. Now those services seem convenient to a lot of companies, and maybe they work. I don't know why companies use them. Maybe they offload the data to somebody else and it's better for them like that. but they always cause problems at the end. Getting data out of them for litigation is more difficult. You don't get as many export options as you want. Custodian information is usually lost. Basically, there are a lot of problems with them, and when you get the data, again, it's a big mess of things, and you're being told like, yeah, just deal with it, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes clients start getting like upset, oh, we need to figure out the custodian information because that's a requirement, and you're trying to explain to them like, look, it's like a journal in mailbox, it's all been gone, you know, it's just one big container of messages. So I don't think custodians are that important anyway, but that's a different discussion. Third-party email archiving services cause more problems than they solve, in my opinion. So those are some of the items that I wish clients would stop doing with their data. If you have any items to add, put them in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube, and I will see you on another video.